Hello everybody, this is Depth to False Music, bringing you honest music reviews from the hills of eastern Kentucky. And hope everybody had a good holiday, hope everybody had a good Christmas, had a good Hanukkah, a good Kwanzaa, whatever the fuckska, I don't know what people celebrate. For all I know, you could be Satanist barbarians out there. So, finishing up the My Morning Jacket discography. I'm sorry this video took so long, but I've been busy with holidays. I got a lot of good music this Christmas, which I will be hopefully reviewing in the next few days. But I wanted to finish up this My Morning Jacket discography so we can move on to other things. Hopefully some albums from 2010, as this year is wrapping up. And I really haven't done a whole lot of reviews from this year. I think I've done the Black Keys Brothers and Band of Horses Infinite Arms, and I think that's about it. But I have a few other albums from this year that I think should be mentioned as well. So, My Morning Jacket's Evil Urges. This is their latest release, released 2008. So it's been out for a while, and this album didn't immediately grab me off the bat like their earlier releases did. This was kind of a weird album because it doesn't really sound like a My Morning Jacket album when you first listen to it. When you first listen to it, it's kind of the sonic landscape, very high-produced stuff, very well-produced, up-front production. You know, shimmering guitar. The shimmering guitars are still there. The syncopated rhythms are still there, but we have these like extremely high falsetto vocals with not a whole lot of reverb. Not as much reverb as in the past. It's kind of takes away some of the glacier, spacey echo of the past and gives it a kind of a metallic sheen to it. So it's a very modern album, very, and times kind of robotic sounding. You can tell that they were wanting to break away from the traditional rock sounds of earlier albums and go for something a little more electronic, a little more modern. It sounds like they were highly influenced by Radiohead and Wilco on this album, their experiments. I mean, there's some strings on this record, there's some weird keyboards. There's a lot more keyboards on this album than on previous records. You have this kind of robotic sound, twinkling sounds on Touch Me, I'm Going to Scream. And in the second part, they use some old 80s keyboard, which I can't even recognize. I forget what it's called. But yeah, there's a lot of keyboards on this release, which gives it kind of an 80s feel, kind of an electronic pop feel. But then you have this song, Evil Urges, which goes on for about 3 minutes, with, you know, kind of this weird metallic love song. And then all of a sudden they break into this kick-ass rock riff, and the band's on full power. And it's just, at times, and that's what I like about this album. As kind of robotic sounding as it can be, there's just some moments where they let their hair down and just rock. And this album has some of their best rock songs. I'm Amazed is just a fantastic sing-along. Aluminum Park is just full-on throttle rock and roll like the Replacements did back in the 80s. And then there's Remnants, which is just a big arena rock and song. And it's also got some really what the fuck moments. I was completely taken aback with Highly Suspicious. And that's always, of course, that's like the biggest what the fuck move of their career, to do this kind of Prince song on their album. I mean, you think that 5 albums in we'd have a band that knows what they're doing, but I like the fact that they're taking chances, you know, 10 years into their career. This is about 9 years after the Tennessee Fire. So, keeping that in mind, it just, I think this, for a while, this was my favorite release, and it still kind of is. But there are some songs that I can do without. I never really was much for Two Halves. I thought it was just kind of a goofy song. And I'm really not much for Sect Walk, and it really doesn't do anything for me. There's a few songs I can do without. Remnants I'm kind of okay with. And you know, but other than that, it's pretty interesting album, and this has a lot of great songs. And as metallic and experimental this album can be, There's also a great knack for pop sensibility. There's a great knack for writing hooks and for having parts that just come back at you. So, that being said, it's just a really good album. Probably the least accessible album, but at the same time the most accessible album because the hooks are right there. The songwriting is strong. This is a band that really knows what they're going for and knows how they're going to get it. So at the same time, this is a very accessible release, and it sounds like any of these songs could be hits. And in fact, I think there's only 2 singles from this album. I'm Amazed and Touch Me, I'm Going to Scream Part 2. I could be wrong. Anyway, that wraps up the My Morning Jacket discography. I'm going to give this album an 8 out of 10. Originality. For My Morning Jacket, this is highly original stuff. This is they're taking a bold new step into some strange territory. R&B, country, it's all over the map. And of course the rock and roll Neil Young flavor of old. Although that's kind of muted on this release. But there's a lot more electronic, there's a lot more R&B, and there's a lot more country, and there's a lot of like Prince moments. So, very cool album. Flow is fantastic. Each song just feels rightly placed. Although it kind of loses me in the middle with some of the ballads. It could stand to have just a few more rock songs on it. But then again, I'm biased because I just like loud rock and roll. So yeah, that's My Morning Jacket's Evil Urges, and that's their My Morning Jacket discography. I give this album an 8 out of 10. Anyway, this is Deaf to False Music. Enjoy, and I'll have some more reviews coming your way.